Ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to the finale of Hawkeye today. So Coy Jandreau is not with us today. If you follow him on social media, he has unveiled that he caught the VidCon. Okay, that's what's going on right now. It won't be the same without him. So with that in mind, we gave him a spot right here. Just so his presence is with us,
our little old friend
during this time, because we will not forget you, Coy. Energy drinks, triple fisting to make up for the fact that he can't be here.
Yeah.
Those are his jeans. I ran by his place, made sure to kiss him on the lips on the way out. And he loves Deadpool and Spidey. And oh man, you caught it the wrong week,
buddy.
I don't care what you're dealing with, Coy. This is more important than anything else. I know you did this on purpose.
Yeah, to
but,
get out
but
of it.
send him some love, guys. Anywho, if you could go ahead and hit that like button, that would be amazing. Thank you to the boys at Prepper for helping us edit down these highlights. Full-length watch-alongs, of course, will be at our Patreon page. You can super reach it by checking us out over there. Cover a bunch of shows. Let's see if we actually get ourselves a King to the Pin in person today.
Ooh.
No!
Wasted no time.
What I'd expect when there's a debt, and your husband owed a small fortune.
Okay.
And that's where I draw the line.
There are no lines in this business.
And that is why I have to leave this business.
Eleanor, don't be rash.
I want you to know that I have been keeping an insurance policy.
Eleanor.
Oh, no. Oh.
I'm gonna give you a minute to think about what you're starting right now.
I don't need a minute.
Oh, damn. I love how he was cast by the purple in the back.
Yeah.
That there. Oh, that's great.
That video, Kate, it's not good.
Yeah.
Kingpin will not take this lightly. He's going to react. And he's going to do it in a big way.
You should be with your family. You can still make it in time for Christmas.
Kate, you're my partner.
Aww.
Your mess is my mess. I'm not going anywhere until this is finished.
It's good shit, huh, Coy?
Right? Cheers, buddy.
I got carried away. You know what my father meant to me.
To all of us.
That look.
If it's okay with you, I'd like a couple of days off to clear my head.
Perhaps investigate some things.
On my own, under the radar.
We need a ton of gear. Like a whole batch of way too dangerous trick arrows.
Oh, where you going?
Stark.
This arrow turns into a Mach 2 suit.
This is a nanotech arrow. It's pretty cool. We actually got a scene of him building the arrows.
Wow, Jack's out of jail already.
It's got a
Got a
sword.
friggin' sword on it.
I found her.
Kate, hi.
Mom, come with me.
No.
Surprise, surprise.
Oh,
Get down.
boy. Oh!
Nice work, Clint.
Good use of platter.
Find Eleanor.
Okay.
All right, head downstairs, draw the fire away.
Copy that. We're going position 2, guys. Wendy and Missy. Kill the lights.
Better not hurt grills.
So, I know you're chummy with my mom, but I gotta say, I didn't think you'd make the cut for the Christmas party. Kate Bishop. No.
Huh. Whoa. That was
Great transition, Oh,
wowza.
damn.
What was that? I don't know. Come on, that is so annoying. Suka.
Oh. Come on, get your suit. Get the suit, man.
I mean, it's Christmas Eve. Let's grab a drink, huh?
Okay, yeah. Cool. Sure. After I kill Barton.
No, that's not what. Come on, listen, you don't.
Why doesn't Yelena just like knock her out?
Yeah, I feel like she could.
Whoa!
Oh, nice.
Bye.
Wow. Cool.
Cool shot.
Clint!
Is that you?
Oh,
Oh, no. No.
damn.
It's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be scary.
Oh.
Damn, that's a great shot.
Yeah. Oh no. Whoa! Ow!
Oh, man, she would have broken her ankles.
Yeah. Bones popping out and everything.
Got you now, bro.
Oh,
Nice.
Hey.
Oh. I'm so threatened by Kazi right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh no. Huh.
I need to get to my own Disney Plus series.
There's not enough room in this show for me.
Oh, shit.
Let's do this.
We're all gonna die.
That's what I was thinking.
In style.
Let's do this. This way, people. Come on, this way, this way. Come on, this way.
Repeat after me. I'm not gonna do anything incredibly stupid.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Wowza.
Oh, we. Ouch. Whoa.
Did they knock over a real tree for this? Or
Maybe.
Until exposed. Let's go.
take off the white shirt, Clint.
Hold them off for a bit.
Nice.
Great, and there's only about 1,000 of them and 2 of us.
Trust the bro, trust the bro, trust the bro, trust the bro. Bro. Ouch.
Whoa, damn.
Wow, what a wide array of arrows. Cool. That's pretty badass. Yeah. One of you bros owns a gun.
Oh, what are you doing? Is that the Pym arrow?
What happens to them now?
I don't know. I'll have to ask Scott about that one.
Oh no. I suspect the post-credit scene.
What is that?
Oh, bro. Oh, ha, ha. Yeah.
The best shots are the ones where he's not looking. Well,
Nice.
a powerful house Renner.
My life! It was never supposed to be yours!
Don't make me do this, Maya.
You know, I just don't feel like you can kick her ass, man.
Don't make me attempt to do this. Oh, yeah.
Holy shitballs.
Don't leave, Eleanor. Come here. Let's talk.
Oh, ew.
I love how more comic booky he is.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that?
I'm gonna bounce off of him. Oh!
Nobody killed her. She made a choice.
Stop lying!
Damn, Florence Pugh, you were such a good actress.
Yeah.
Mind your own business.
My God.
Jesus. Try to do the leg thing on me.
You're really starting to annoy me.
She did it.
The cufflink and everything. Too dangerous.
Wow. Wow.
Oh.
It's like a boss level fight in a game.
Yeah.
Mom. Okay. Are you okay?
She like turned the car back and
Yeah, she did a
positioned
3-point
it.
turn.
3-point turn.
Pulled it out of that parallel parking job.
You're under arrest for the murder of Armand Duquesne III.
Turn around, please.
You're gonna need a good lawyer.
Justice doesn't take a holiday.
Clint knows the whistle.
She loved you and always wanted you safe.
You got so much time with her. It shouldn't have gone this way. If I was there, I could have stopped it. I could have changed it.
Nothing was gonna stop her, Yelena. You know Natasha. She made her choice. We're gonna have to find a way to live with that.
I loved her so much.
Me too.
Where you go, Yelena?
And what's Val gonna say?
What a surprise. Maya, you and I, we're family. Family. Sometimes family doesn't see eye to eye.
What the shit?
Uh-huh.
I mean, Kingpin can't be dead.
Yeah, they panned up. There's got to be something going on.
And that Missy boy, she just outdid herself with the suit, right? The elasticity in the...
Ah.
I missed you.
Oh, I missed you too.
Did you bring my watch?
Brought home a couple strays.
Hi.
This is Kate.
Welcome, Kate.
Shit. She's officially gonna come live with him, huh?
You're never gonna guess what was found in a black market auction in New York City.
Thank you.
Hawk shot. Like hot shot, but you know, Hawk.
No,
Lady Arrow?
none of those.
Okay, fine.
You know what? Actually, I have an idea.
Haha, nice.
Well, shit. Interesting. I got some mixed feelings about some of this. For sure. Liked a lot. And then, Need to process a couple other things before y'all jump down my throat.
No, only unanimous praise here.
It's gotta be a post-credit scene. It's Kingpin just pulling a bullet out of his head.
Oh, so annoying.
Something strange in the air. I could do this all
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad they did this.
I am too. A little bit of Christmas cheer.
Hope they put that on YouTube. I think that is their post-credit scene.
Seems like it. Well, that's the end of Kingpin.
Yeah, he's dead.
Done.
Was that Coy? Huh. Yeah. You see, if Coy was here, he would tell you that this might be a possible spoiler. What we're about to say is that, and I know some of you guys already typed it, because you guys, like, the second we have a reaction to something, Kingpin's not dead. Most likely just blind. Right? That's what you're going to say? Is that what you're going to say? Is that what some of you guys are going to say? Some of the top comments?
Don't worry, before you freak out.
Yeah. Is this what happens in the comic? Okay. Glad we got that out of the way. Good. A sign? Mockingbird? Is that what you're going to say? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
19, yeah.
It's amazing how much came true. That was the arrest. Mm-hmm. It's amazing just how much came true. That was the arrest. Wow. So yeah, looks like Kingpin will probably come back in Echo series, and there's a lot to digest here. There's a lot to think about here. John, kick us off. What's the first subject to talk about?
I mean, I think the first subject to talk about is just the lovely wrap-up we got between Kate and Clint. I mean, you know, this was a nice sort of realization of their unit as a team, as partners, accepting one another as family even, and especially for the holidays. I thought that was a nice aspect to this that tied it all together, because I think there will probably be some things that we both enjoyed and some things that we have maybe some questions or qualms about, but I thought that really nicely tied everything together.
Whoa, John, listen, if we disagree on anything, remember I'm judging you for how you think and feel.
Oh, yeah.
According to
of course.
some comments I saw in the Matrix video.
Always, yeah.
I can't stomach the thought of you having a different opinion than me.
It's never happened.
My God. Got a little emotional with Kate and Yelena and Clint, didn't you?
Clint, yeah.
You got pretty emotional. I didn't realize just how much you cared about Black Widow and Yelena all of a sudden.
That's right, man.
I didn't realize that.
That was all fake. I faked it. I was like, oh man, it's finale. I gotta get some reactions going. I gotta
cry.
Yeah.
I know what's going on.
It's not a finale until one of us has cried, and you're clearly not doing it. So I
you gotta pick up the heavy load. You have to activate those acting skills, channel tears.
Yeah.
Because we all know how much you loved Black Widow.
Yes, I particularly, and we all know. The two of us. We all know that between the two of us, you liked it more than I did.
Yeah,
you thought it was okayer than I did, and you gave it more of the benefit of the doubt than I did.
Exactly.
So I had to make up for being curmudgeon.
I just felt like I didn't feel as strongly about that scene. Like I appreciate the whole context and thought it was beautifully acted.
Yeah.
And one of the best written parts of the episode too. But because I didn't get the tears, help.
Oh yeah. No, don't worry.
Yeah.
This is and Kingpin's definitely dead. And,
yeah, 100%. That's why the camera panned up. So yeah, I mean, that is one of the best scenes of the episode. It brings a good resolution and an arc to the whole thing, especially because Natasha has been such like a character in this whole series from the very first episode, right when Clint was watching Rogers the musical, and the way how the camera worked and the audio it's like going into his perspective, and they had some motifs that they've seen in other episodes where, honestly, Coy, I'm so used to you being here. We've done plenty of reviews without you for many videos and many uncut reviews without you, but because of the fact that it's Hawkeye, I'm just so used to you being here that I can't stop thinking about, like, oh, this is kind of weird that Coy's not here.
I wonder what Coy would have to say about it.
So yeah. And it's also kind of weird that I'm saying it's weird Coy's not here, but I'm also doing a bit as if Coy is here. so it's not really panning out in my favor.
Layers to this
so
shit,
many
baby.
layers.
So
to
many
this thing.
layers.
But yeah, I think that is one of the best parts of this whole series, especially is, you know, after Avengers Endgame, then there was like, oh, grieve Tony Stark and Spider-Man, you know, Far From Home, and it seemed to be a lot of like the longing of Tony, but not much paid in tribute to Black Widow. Then she gets her own movie, and this to me really dealt a lot with the loss of Natasha, because the way we experience grief is through the ones who are still alive to have to deal with the suffering of that. And the ones who have easily, most likely, suffered the most of anyone, it would have to be, you know, Clint Barton and Yelena, and them coming to this understanding. And I think Florence Pugh's acting in that scene is phenomenal, because, you know, it's like it's so easy for her to probably just find that sense of, I can close the chapter on this if I just get my revenge. I just need to know why and then get my revenge, and then maybe, just maybe, you know, being someone who's raised an assassin, I could finally put this shit behind me. I could finally put a seal on this. So, you know, when she's like in denial of what Clint is saying and she's hitting him, just fighting against it, it felt so human. And every time Florence Pugh is on screen, she is just the star. She is just stealing it. Even in some scenes in this finale where I was like, I feel weird about this scene, or I'm not really liking this scene all that much, she's always great. She's always phenomenal. And that scene in particular does allow for some type of semblance of closure for them. It's like, it's not something they'll get over, especially Clint, who has to live with this, but he can continue to live and keep carrying on. And that's like the difference between the two of them in that scene. So yeah, I thought it was absolutely beautiful, and I hope a lot of you guys got brought to tears in that moment. And I'm glad you did, John.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the support.
Flick a quarter at you. Flick a quarter at you. What's next, John?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, some of the best action in the episode, while we're on the topic of Yelena, came from her. I mean, that sequence where they're fighting through the, you know, level of the building office, you know, was pretty great. And, you know,
watching Old Boy.
Exactly like watching Old Boy, but in this light-hearted, semi-kind of violent, network-esque show. And then, you know, all the trick arrows and stuff like that, finally get to see them in their suits. Like, I feel like
Plaza's ice skating rink showdown, that was cool.
Right, yeah. And I mean, I feel like, you know, these were all probably made as a batch, but from last week, you know, I feel like they really must have known when they got Florence Pugh and Hailee Steinfeld in a room together how great the two of them interact. And so, you know, it was nice to get a nice little, like, both fight, but also like that elevator scene where they're both kind of sizing each other up and competing, and just the weird ways in which they could be friends and they are very similar despite this one particular barrier. So I have a feeling that we'll have to see more of Yelena and Kate together in the future, just because their chemistry is so wonderful. But yeah,
they play off each other well.
And this was an interesting episode too, because, you know, you have Yelena here, obviously, you've got Kingpin. I feel like this was kind of a lot of stuff happening kind of all around the same area, and it felt maybe a little chaotic, and like all of a sudden for the... What?
Huh?
No, I thought you were laughing. That's the way the show starts.
Oh, I think it is a lot. I think they jam-packed a little too much into this one episode.
Yeah.
Which has never been heard of a Marvel third act finale of movies or shows ever.
Yeah, and being the way we started out with the first two episodes, it felt like it was going to be something a lot more streamlined or a lot more focused. And so, yeah, this episode had a lot of really cool appearances and some really cool fights and whatnot, but it did feel a bit, I guess, chaotic, and you've got a lot of things being paid off very quickly, like Eleanor and her connection to Kingpin.
John, isn't chaotic the point, because this is a chaotic situation?
Sure, but it still needs to feel like it was all proportioned and paced over the course of the show in some kind of way that feels smooth and thought out. I mean, chaos can feel intentional, or it can feel like it's the product of the management or the, you know, cramming in of characters and plot lines, and I feel like we lean more towards the latter with aspects of this show. Like I've been waiting for this episode to kind of know how I feel about the overall pace and structuring, and it does seem like it has this sort of odd structure, and the way the episode goes is pretty straightforward.
I think what was happening here was that the first 2 episodes had a much more Christmassy, lighthearted vibe about it. And then, as we all saw with episode 3, it started taking a more serious turn. Then you get like full hardcore, like it definitely had more of the gravitas. And then there was other episodes that probably brought a little bit more dramatic heft. But I would say after episode 2, things definitely started having more scenes that featured a lot more drama and a lot more weight. And then I think in terms of like movie chapters, usually they try to like have it be like bookended, right? Where it's like you see similarities at the beginning so you can kind of match the journey and the arc. So the tonally, you provide that Christmas tone to it. You see like where the LARP people are at with them and their relationship now. You especially see with Kate, who's a much more confident fighter in this episode as she's fighting multiple, you know, oh my god, tracksuit mafia people, fighting them, and where in the first one she's like kind of, you know, in her head a lot and feels like she's really just improvising. Here she's a really confident fighter. And there was another moment too with Kate that what was it? Oh yeah, she fails with the clock, like blows it up, and then here she, you know, like again a bookend. She shoots down the tree successfully. She aims and she blows up another thing, but she does it well in style and to their benefit versus you know, messing up, right? So you have like those touches and those additional nuances to it, so I could see what they were going for. However, I did not want to immediately jump to things that I want to kind of I'll reserve a little bit more criticisms. What else was good, John?
What else is good?
We'll get there.
I mean, it was definitely nice to at least get to the bottom of what was going on with Eleanor, and I liked, as much as we've been speculating, as much as there are these kind of red herring characters like Jack, I thought that was kind of a charming turn of like, oh, I guess he's just all right in this universe or in this iteration of the character, and that's like a Ralph Bonery thing that, at least to my sensibility, is not anger inducing. And I was like, oh, cool, nice. Like, I've been suspicious of this guy the whole time, and then on the opposite side of that coin with Eleanor, I like that it's not like, okay, and now here's a massive reveal that she's some important villain. It was more like, yeah, your dad got us into this really nasty situation, and this was the best way I knew how to deal with it, and they're back and forth. You know, there's a hard kind of divide that doesn't have a Christmassy resolve or some kind of like, it'll be all right aside from the circumstance. Like, you know, it seems like there is a tangible sacrifice and a tangible split in ideology and conflict that ends off between Kate and Eleanor that I thought was nicely handled for the amount of like, oh, is there gonna be some kind of big Easter egg reveal? Like, I kind of liked that they didn't have to do that for this. And, you know,
for who?
For Eleanor.
Well, I think they are setting her up to be Madame Mask.
Sure, but in this here and now, I like that even the way that's being played is still the gradual, because I feel like in a finale like this, it would be really easy to go, oh, we're setting this up, we're setting this up, we're setting this up. You know, here's a bunch of clues and Easter eggs for the future, and I like that they didn't let that eclipse what they were doing just in this episode with those characters. Like, for here and now, the story they're telling, it seems like they chose to service that instead of service shit to expect for the future, you know?
And I think with Clint in particular, I mean, he's definitely the one who's grown the most out of anyone. Like, Kate's had to accept the reality of the situation of, you know, the hardships of being a hero, the reality of her family, the whole thing about, especially with like having to turn in her mother. You know, this is the hard sacrifices and the choice, the tough decisions you got to make because it's the right thing to do ultimately, just because she's your mom. You know, people get canceled for shit like that these days. Remember what Chris Como did? And then it's the same thing.
Yes. Allegory, 1-to-1.
Allegory, 1-to-1. This movie just, all Marvel cares about is their politics. And then with Clint, you know, he's like definitely learned more like having the vulnerability and letting people in, making Kate a partner, and not more than that. Like, you're part of the family now. We're taking you home. You're You're my new daughter, but also partner, also friend. And I'm gonna tell you more shit than I'm gonna tell my own
be like
children.
a father to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was kind of funny to me. It's like, oh man, they had such a heartwarming sort of growth and bond together, and he does take her home. But yeah, I'm like, you were teaching your actual daughter how to shoot, and now it seems like this is just transferred over onto Kate
This
now.
is the daughter he never had right here.
Which, I mean, to be fair, if I was Clint, I wouldn't want my actual daughter getting into this shit. I would rather it be somebody who just will not give up on it, you know?
Well, she's close to being an adult, and at the end of the day, she's still a minor, so she needs a place to live.
Sure,
You know, she's not gonna stay at her
Makes
shitty
a lot
aunt's
of
place.
sense. Nope.
Screw that.
Makes a
You
lot
know,
of
she can be
sense.
kept safe there too, at Clint's, the off-the-grid location. Yeah, that was really nice, and Clint got to be with his family. I wish we got a little bit more family time, since that's going to be his big motivator.
I would have liked like an actual coda with them.
Yeah, I think this probably would have been benefited best from two episodes.
Yeah, 7 episodes.
I think they could have done everything here with 2 episodes, and it would have flowed perfectly well. Because they do jam pack a lot in here. This is the best. Okay, where to begin? Let's start with Jack. I'm not even gonna talk about comics. Could give 2 shits about the whole Swordsman thing. All right, I never really cared about Swordsman from the comics, right? Even though that's who this is riffed off of. Clearly, that's not something I'm like, man, they fucking didn't do the Swordsman.
Did Jacques dirty.
There are beats here that really rub me the wrong way. Part of the endearing aspect with Eleanor was the fact that when you get those scenes, like when Jack is quoting things wrong and how like he's so in love with Eleanor and trying to be a stepdad, and you know, like some of those scenes where you're like, oh, maybe he is a good guy. So it's fine to me that like, oh, he actually was just a good guy. He was just a dude. But then it became like a cartoon to me about him, and I really didn't like that there was nothing about with him after fighting the people, you know?
Yeah,
and then he's just
no
like,
wrap up.
there's nothing about being dismayed or perturbed by the fact that Eleanor sent him to jail, and Eleanor's a big criminal.
And he was wrongly accused.
He was
didn't
wrongly,
he?
yeah.
He went to prison for
like,
a bit.
I don't know the extent of how much he knows, but he's got to know she's been arrested, and you see these experiences where he's like fighting off bad guys, and it's just like it's cartoony to me. And yes, it's a Marvel comic adaptation series, but I feel like the character suddenly got diminished to just a joke in the moment. And that's what it just turned. That's just plain and simple what it turned into. There's not even a moment of reaction about what happened. Maybe we can all theorize about like, hey, maybe he actually knows more than he was letting on. And like, you guys can probably make assumptions, fill in blanks, make theories, but from what the episode itself presented in the season finale, wasn't a big fan of that. I really thought the first half of this episode, that's where a lot of my issues actually lie. Like, do I think they were kind of doing too much in a 60-minute thing? There's so many plot lines. The first half of this is where most of my issues, where I think it started to really affect me negatively, was while every scene, there's no scene here I was like, F that scene. There's not a single scene that makes me feel that way. It's more that it was a little too lighthearted for me, to the point where there was zero tension. It starts off in a way like you think you're gonna get it, you know, like, oh, let's immediately swing in a Kingpin right away. And I have thoughts about that. Let's immediately swing in a Kingpin right away. And it's exciting to see Vincent D'Onofrio back, right? That's what it's playing on. Or even if you didn't watch Daredevil, but you like the comics, you know, so there's that. And it's like a serious stakes scene. But then that's what I meant by Yelena and Kate that kind of started rubbing me the wrong way. Was as great as they are with working off of each other, I'm like, this arguably should be a really tense thing. This should arguably be an intense situation. Is that the chaos was just feeling like a fun little Christmas thing, when it's like the first episode she's introduced, she's trying to kill him. The second episode, she tries to get to Kate, and it's a real like Tarantino-esque back and forth dialogue. There's a lot of tension in there, And then here it just becomes Marvel comedy again. And there's like no real pulse to her trying to go after Clint. She's just walking casually. It's just fun. It's just like funny. It's funny, you know?
They never treat it like it could actually happen.
They never, it's like, of course it wouldn't. But they don't even try to. They don't even make an attempt to. So they just go for jokes. Like, let's make a joke fight scene. Let's make a joke thing with the elevator. Let's just make it jokey. When I'm like, she's on a mission to kill this guy. And you don't feel any of the suspense of that. Of Clint's trying to do a job, but he also has Yelena coming after him right now. So like the build up to that I thought was weak. And that really let me down a lot because Yelena, like literally 3 through 5, I really like 2 of them I loved, and one of those I really liked a lot. So I'm by no means like a person who doesn't like this show. So yeah, it was just all, a lot of it was just so lighthearted. And then the fact that there was so much going on, I want you guys to do this little journey with me here. Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. Let's say you never watched Daredevil and you couldn't give a shit about it. Okay, let's eliminate that out of the category. Let's say you know nothing about Kingpin from the comics. Just cut that out of the category. Let's just look at the show itself and the writing and what they're building up to. They're building up the big guy. There's a bad guy. There's a big baddie coming, right? That's what they're saying. This is what they're teasing this whole time. And then at the very end of the last episode, who's my mother with? Who's this guy? Kingpin. And it's like, okay, we finally know who the big bad is. I'm saying eliminate all things of preconceived anticipation of Kingpin from the comics or Vincent D'Onofrio returning. If it was just brand spanking new right here in this series, I felt like they almost didn't do anything with it.
It feels like a side device rather than the big bad above like, all of these things we've been dealing with this whole time. Like, it feels oddly detached for being the guy at the head of all this trouble.
It doesn't, amplify anything. It doesn't, like, really, they were building it up so much of the big bad that a lot of the focus ought to have been there for your big villain that you were building up to. And it's just like, so passable of what they did here. Oh, Maya, I love you. And then it doesn't become about a hunt to kill Maya. Maya's just like that whole thing. It didn't feel focused. And the thing is that because there's so much they're cutting around to, like I'm excited because I like Kingpin from every iteration I've seen him in, whether it be comics, games, show. Vincent D'Onofrio, I really love. So I'm excited personally, and I do appreciate more of the comic book vibe, and sometimes it feels a little bit at odds. Admittedly, I don't know if that's only because the Vincent D'Onofrio in Daredevil is very specifically tuned for Daredevil in the sense of this is a very realistic, depressed shell of a human being. This kind of, like, it feels very apparent that this is not the same version. They don't try to acknowledge the past or anything like that. This doesn't feel like this is the same version of Kingpin from that. And Vincent D'Onofrio's approach is so real. Like, when he does his acting, it's so, like, the pathos he brings to it is so real, but then it's juxtaposed with this light-hearted thing around it. Like it's like so comic booky in the sense of what it is, and then the tone of this show, that level of grit. And I can't tell if that's just from my own preconceived notions and emotions applied towards what we've seen of Vincent D'Onofrio in 2 seasons of Daredevil and episode and a half of season 2 of Daredevil. But I think in terms of just your big baddie, it like what was the like? I'd be like, what was the big buildup about? Like, really, what was the big buildup about? Well,
it never builds beyond the reveal at the end of the last episode.
No,
it doesn't build to anything.
None of the scene, like he fights Kate. Okay, cool.
It's a neat fight, but you still don't feel like he would rage out the same way if he had the opportunity.
He didn't seem like heavily involved in the mix. I guess what the show wanted me to do was feel really concerned for Eleanor to some extent, but I'm also dealing with the reveal of Eleanor. We're not really spending much time with Eleanor. And so we're cutting because here's everything you're doing in this one episode. You know, Yelena, Clint, Yelena and Clint, Kate, Yelena and Kate, Kate and Clint, Tracksuit Mafia, Eleanor, Jack, Kazi, Kingpin, Maya, the Maya story, which is just, okay, I guess it's just a setup for Hawkeye, Echo. I mean, and so there's LARP people, you know, there's so much happening in here. I've named like 10 things, just that alone, and that's not even everything. That's like 10 things they're doing in this one episode, that in 60 minutes, it doesn't feel like this is merely enough to give anything proper service to really let your emotions properly latch onto a lot. I think the most they let breathe well was Yelena and Clint. But to me, I think the use of just big bad, again, not saying Kingpin, not saying Vincent D'Onofrio like that, I'm saying just the use of your build to a big bad, it was like, it felt really generic, if you ask me. It felt pretty generic, and like, oh, I guess he's also surprisingly insanely strong.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of the overarching gripe I would have with this wrap up is, everything is kind of lacking in a tension. And as much as I liked that scene with Yelena and Clint, I feel like I would have had a much more emotional response had there been a better sense for the rage and the pain in Yelena, because there's so much of that is played light, and you're also meeting all these characters now, especially in this episode. Like the show has given you glimpses and windows into characters like Eleanor, certainly like Maya, Kazi through Maya, but especially in this episode, it feels like they could have benefited from a more ensemble treatment than it's pretty much still the Kate and Clint show, which is good, which is fine, but it also, with more expansion and development on characters like Eleanor, especially a little more on Jack, like any of these people, it would have felt more meaningful and more impactful. And here, it feels more like, kind of a fun movie wrap up, which isn't like out of the realm of what they're doing here, but it also, it feels very light, and it feels like a lot was introduced to little consequence other than we can expect to see it in the future in other media. And so, like Kingpin now at the end of this episode feels more like a stunt than an actual thing that they wanted to use to their advantage to drive the story home or to elevate a sense of danger or anything like that. And even then you look at this guy and you're like, why would he even bother with the Trek suits? Because they're so kind of wacky. They are pretty just silly for most of it. And like Kazi here is a little too late in terms of that between him and Maya could have been much more impactful if A, he had been maybe a little more on par with who he is in the comics, and B, if they had allowed for more than just the kind of main/standard beats for that kind of relationship. It's like you're allowed, I feel like, in a show like this, a certain number of action movie and buddy movie tropes to play with, but I feel like there are a lot of things that don't really rise above that, especially in this episode, and it feels kind of like, okay, now we just got to wrap things up the way we normally would.
It was very by the numbers, and that my biggest issue is, I felt like it was too much, and they rushed, and there was lack of suspense and tension, and it seems like they tried making up for a lot of that by just making it fun. And it ultimately didn't feel fun because I was just on a journey that was really tension-filled for a few episodes in a row, and now you've eliminated all that tension suddenly, and that really sucked. Like that bothered me a lot. That's why that first half was really upsetting to me.
I feel like this episode, like, you're absolutely right, this could have benefited from being 2 episodes so that you could have your big, if you look at a lot of shows that have an action bias or slant, I feel like your second to last episode is often the big physical showdown of everything colliding, all the different people who are at odds having their reckoning, and then in the last episode you have parts of that carry over and solved by the middle, and then you can have your coda does, and then we could have our little, actual some actual like heartwarming family time with Clint's family at the end to really relish in how sweet it is to finally have achieved that after it looking like he wouldn't make it home at all for Christmas, or something like that.
Well, I think that this one should have. If there were 2 episodes, it could have been you reintroduce Kingpin, especially if it's a new version. Reintroduce him. Really see what this big villain is that you've been building up to is all about, and the threat that he really opposes. Like Clint seemed scared of this guy for some reason. Clint was like, "Who is this guy?" Clint seemed like really intimidating. I'm like, "Why?" And so you build that up. You build up Maya developing this distrust and trying to understand. Like you deal with that. You deal with Maya and having to
let that debate happen for her.
Let these things, and then to me it was like, we gotta wrap this up. that's what this felt up. We gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, I feel like especially for Maya's story, it comes down to she finds out the truth in the last episode, or at least the truth is posed to her. She puts it together, and then in this episode, it's pretty much nope. He's exactly my enemy now. Like I feel like it would have to be truly like rich. It would have had to have been harder because she still has a relationship with him, and there is like a betrayal that would lead to where this leads to naturally, but I feel like it would benefit from that emotional turmoil of finding out that somebody who's been there for you all your life, who you thought was your dad's, like a brother to him almost, your uncle, I felt like they could have done more justice by that storyline, especially the same way they could have done more justice to Yelena's storyline.
And then also Kate having to deal with the repercussions of learning about her mom being involved with this guy. Like really let these revelations and reveals, like
let them play.
And then you go into your big finale crescendo where everything's collapsing and colliding together. And so this felt over convoluted to me, and it didn't, like, while there were some moments where I was like, oh shit, when it started off I was like, this is gonna be crazy, and then it wasn't. And so unfortunately that's just where I'm at with this, and I just thought it was weird. I thought it was weird just how like detached it suddenly became and didn't stick to its guns on what the show had been building to.
Yeah.
It just jam-packed too much plot. And I think Kazi especially is like completely, again, forget the comics. Kazi, it's hard for me to feel threatened by this guy when I'm like, this guy seems like he kind of sucks at this job for the most part. Like the guy's a good actor. I think the guy who plays him is a good actor. This portrayal is a good actor, but like, oh my god, Kazi's threat sniper, oh Kazi's gonna fight Clint. I'm like, what the fuck what is he gonna do? Clint can easily kick this guy. Like it was just like, there's no way this guy stands a fighting chance against Clint. Now one part of your brain is gonna go, this guy can be formidable against him. Like, what? Honestly, like, why would you think that? Why would you possibly think that from anything you've seen of this guy? And then him taking on Maya, it's like same thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? You answered her. There's no way. Like, why would I possibly be? It's like, don't make me do this. And I'm watching the scene, going, what do you mean? She's gonna whoop your ass, dude.
Yeah, man.
You're a henchman. No, like you're a glorified henchman, essentially.
And she's like the elite assassin of your group. Even if you have a higher status in the politics of the tracksuits, she can kick your ass left and right.
Because they suddenly started giving so much attention to him here, and I'm like, I don't really care about you, and also you're not threatening one bit.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we like literally the Kingpin part's very disappointing in the sense of building your big baddie, because you build to him, and what do you see him do?
He gets in Kate's way, and that's about the most of it. It's weird, like for as big of a personal twist as that is, it feels just very detached from everything. It feels like, and I mean even the send off between Kate and Eleanor is a little, it's like I liked the performance from Vera Farmiga and I liked what she says, but it's not really like an emotional moment very much. And it should be this big shocking thing of like, she's in bed with the most ruthless crime.
Kate doesn't even talk about it afterwards. Kate, like literally, you've just sent your mom to jail.
There should be a melancholy or something.
There should be something there where, like in the ambulance with Clint, like there should be something there where there's so much they did not do that, and then I just don't get it, you know, like I don't understand. Yeah, they only had 6 episodes, and maybe that's the problem.
Well, yeah, and I feel like all of this could have also enhanced the Christmas vibe, because all these painful divisions are happening at Christmas, and I feel like there is a pantheon of well-loved and poignant, bittersweet Christmas set movies that you could have easily drawn from and hearkened to, because those threads and flavors have been in the earlier episodes, especially through Clint. And so even here, like, that stuff didn't really pay, or it's like they had a bunch of threads that they were braiding together into something nice, and then at the end they're just all the threads again. You know,
I mean, if you watch any of our reviews for a while, you'll see that we don't really ever harp, even if it's a great post-credit scene, that's usually not what we talk about. We don't like beat that horse. But I gotta say, man, like, as happy as I am to see the Rogers the Musical thing, I am also like, this would have been fine as a YouTube video. This would have been fine as an upload on YouTube, honestly.
Or as the post credits scene. Like,
yeah.
Like usually the mid credit, the
because there's
formula...
not one episode has a post credit scene.
Yeah, and with as much of like, oh man, Kingpin and all these other things, you would expect that, and I feel like Marvel has trained us to expect that the mid credit scene is of some kind of consequence down the line, and then the post credit scene is something like cheeky and fun, and is like a little gift or a little reward or something like that. And yeah, like I really appreciate the sentiment of like happy holidays from Marvel Studios, but even the wrap up didn't feel as holiday-ish as it could have. Like, it ends at Christmas, that's nice, but it really feels like, okay, we're all wrapped up and now we're going home and now the episode's over.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's the thing with the watch that gets paid off, and that was nice. Like, that was a nice moment. I like that Linda Cardellini
kind of,
but
if you don't know what the fuck that is,
yeah,
you're gonna be like, what?
yeah. And yeah, even that was made such a big deal of before, and of all the things paid off, I would argue that is a better handled one. But even so, I mean, that opens up a whole new layer to this character for us explicitly here that I think would have been nice to see some of the history of back at home when they are finally reunited or something. Because yeah, like, this all starts off partly with Clint being like, I gotta get this fucking watch from the auction and everything, and then that becomes more just like a cheeky detail than it does something important or poignant.
Yeah, like there's secret files on here or something. You know how many guys always, like, a lot of you guys will come at us in the comments and be like, I haven't read the comic, or I haven't read the comics for this, so I'm just judging it based on the show itself. And that's what I mean by this whole Mockingbird thing, is if you haven't read the comics, how are you possibly supposed to care about what just happened in that moment? It would probably just look like a SHIELD logo to you or something, right? You're like, oh, cool. Hey, well, why was she like, thank you, you know?
Yeah. Who's Agent 19?
Like, you build this whole thing with this watch, and it just seems like such a afterthought too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got the watch.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So much of this episode felt like things got, in order to cram it all in, everything became afterthoughts.
There's a lot of outlining, and only a few scenes that felt truly worthwhile.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was I gotta say, like, I was pretty let down by this episode, and you know, all the live action Marvel shows, this was the only finale that really let me down. I've had issues with, I love the Loki one, but I'm pretty sure there's like, I had little qualms. I had qualms with like every finale, I believe. This is the one where I'm like, no, I definitely feel
this could have been handled more
disappointed.
yeah, with more thought put into everything, with more resonance put into everything.
So yeah, that's just the fucking way we feel, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, it was a fun watch in the moment. It's just dissolving now that it's done.
I've found myself really trying to enjoy it, and that's why even with like Yelena and Clint, I was already so finding myself bothered by how I was feeling leading into it that I couldn't even get that into it at that scene at the time. It became just an observation of this is a good scene.
It's good work between good actors.
Yeah,
but it's not hitting the way it could and should. Like, yeah, that should be absolutely. And for as beloved as Yelena has become in a short time, that should, if she's gonna be here, that should be a wrenching scene for the both of them. That should be the most cathartic point in the episode, arguably. Because not only is it cathartic for Yelena, but it's cathartic for Clint, and it's a vulnerable moment that ties into core history. And I do love how much Natasha does feel like she is a presence in her absence. But yeah.
I guess the last thing I'll say is, why did the cop show up at the toy store first and not at the ice skating rink first?
Where there's a mob like fighting a guy.
Violence and explosions and a tree falling.
Yeah, hey, you know, priorities, man. They take everything in order of the call they receive.
It was literally like, whoop, I rarely am the guy to think that, but that actually popped in my brain after a certain point of, where are the cops? There's like no law enforcement here.
Yeah, in New York City, of all places.
New York City, at one of the most touristy spots on Christmas Day
so
in
much NYPD.
New York. There would already be cops there before anything even happened.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of bullshit, man. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Of shit. Yeah.
That is the most like, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I was pretty let down by this. I mean, that's more of a nitpick of just like whatever movie mechanisms. You got to have your characters have their scenes. All right, I get it. But yeah, that was all right.
Strange episode. Merry Christmas,
guys. What do you think? Leave your thoughts down below. Maybe if Coy was here, we would have loved it. Ain't that right, Coy?
Yeah, Coy.
Visible Coy.
Cheers.
No, we've upset a lot of you. Fuck it, it's the last episode. Haha.
Liz, sit with this
now.
flavor.
We're not worried about you coming back next week's episode.
You gotta wait a whole year or more if they continue with the Hawkeye series. Stew in it.
See you guys. But first, patron of the day shout out.
Niraj Krishnan saving the best for last because it's a competition at Patreon, and this is a perfect episode because this episode had so many people grappling for the spotlight when it belongs on you, my friend. Plus, you're out there on the East Coast. You could climb the Christmas tree at the Rockefeller Center, meet an owl, become friends, tame the owl, make it carry letters places for you. You know, all the things you would want to have at the holiday spirit, you know. Niraj, I think you should do that. But anyway.
This was a very simple shout out, dude. All you had to do was say that a lot of people were expecting Spider-Man to show up in here.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the scene in No Way Home at the Rockefeller Plaza.
Yeah.
And the fact that you see Raj's musical, and obviously Spider-Man didn't show up. But, you know, it would have been even a cooler cameo. Niraj Krishnan showing up in this. And then Niraj showing up in this episode would have made us actually really love this a lot. Would have subverted expectations because we don't get our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. No, we got our friendly neighborhood Niraj Krishnan, our friendly neighborhood patron Niraj Krishnan. It was really simple. I don't know what this whole thing about owls is that you're doing. And like, where did this was so simple. This was so simple.
It's okay. This was a master class, and I was awe-inspired. I took so many notes.
Simple.
Like, next shout-out for Niraj, I'm going to knock your socks off. All right? That's next Christmas, Niraj. Look out.
Why did you like The Matrix Resurrections?
Because it took